This is Paul John's Mithuna, and it first came to my attention in 2021 after reading an absolutely stunning review by Becky Paskin, where she was essentially mocking Whiskey Bible's Jim Murray on his review of this whiskey, which in his release that year for the 2020 Whiskeys of the Year, he had actually ranked this third. The way she described it on the nose was nutsack. I don't know if you can tell, but there's some very fine gold print on the bottle, and here's an image of Mithuna. Mithuna is the Indian astrological sign for Gemini, or our equivalent of Gemini. Now, this over here, this is not Mithuna. This is actually a statuette of the goddess Lakshmi. Lakshmi is the goddess of wealth and fortune in the Indian pantheon. She actually doesn't give you good fortune just by, let's say, idolizing her, but rather she rewards wealth and success. Well, she actually rewards discipline and hard work with wealth and success. I picked this up on my very first trip to India, so I've been there before. So let's talk a little bit about this gold print against the dark color. So the dark color, you would think, since this is a single malt, you might think, okay, single malt, India, sherry. No, this actually has nothing to do with sherry. They use 6-row barley, which I think I'll talk a little bit about on some of the flavors that imparts. But this is actually aged in virgin oak that they've applied a number 3 char to, and then finished in ex-bourbon casks. It's only 5 years old, but it's in Goa. Goa is, if you don't know Indian geography, it's on the west coast of India, about a couple hours drive south of Mumbai. Absolutely beautiful place, beautiful beaches, well worth a visit if you ever get a chance to go there. But the whiskey itself, the nose that this interesting cask play imparts on the whiskey, also reflective of the 6-row barley, is you get your classic, let's say, vanilla caramel toffee that you would expect from, let's say, virgin oak. So you get that rich vanilla on it with a number 3 char. But you also get this, as I mentioned, this earthiness, which is actually rather nutty, almost as if when you open one of those tins of mixed nuts that you get. And I think that's probably the wordplay that Miss Paskin was going for when she was creating her review. So that earthiness to me comes across on the nose. And I'll talk a little bit about, let's say, some of the notes that you get on it. So along with that nuttiness, there is a waft of the proof. It is 58% ABV, so it's 116 proof. And you get this rich, dark fruit. And I find it really difficult to place what that fruit is, but I equate the smell of the fruit. Some people say orange or citrus. I honestly don't get that. I don't get orange or citrus at all in this whiskey. Not on the nose, not on the palate, not on the finish. One of the things I do get on the finish, and I'll jump to that in a moment, is salinity. And I don't know if that's because I know Goa is on the coast, but for me on the finish, you get this after you've done the full swallow. There's a lingering salinity that hits me. And I haven't seen any review that actually talks about that. But let's talk about the nose. Let's go back to the nose. I get, if you imagine, damp aged tobacco leaf and these rich stewed, perhaps even like stewed over-ripened fruit. For me, then on the palate, it is this thick, oily, viscous whiskey that coats the mouth really softly on the front of the palate, especially as it goes to the mid palate. You get this rich coating of fruit. It's syrupy. That's where the toffee comes out. And I think you then also get a taste of, for me, it's cocoa powder over ripened papaya, if you can imagine such a thing. But the magic of this whiskey is actually on the swallow. So as you go into the swallow, suddenly that ABV opens up with this hit of cinnamon, and I would dare say pepper on the palate, and it lights up your whole tongue, and you're like, wow, that is a powerful whiskey. It is an absolutely great ride. And as I mentioned before, this is a whiskey with a long finish. In that long finish, you get the sweet oak, you get the tannins from obviously the aging in such a hot climate. As I mentioned, you get the dryness also of that cocoa powder. But then, let's say a minute later, maybe even 2 minutes later, a salinity. I swear there's a salinity to this. Anyway, I find it absolutely remarkable, and I think it's reflective of some of the types of whiskeys that you can find out there in the world. I don't know if you've ever had an Indian whiskey before, and if you have, let me know which one you have had. I've had a couple of Paul Johns, but this one jumps out to me. This is truly remarkable, and regardless of any of the controversy around how this was ranked in 2020, this is a world-class whiskey, and I think it's well worth, or it's deserved its high ranking that year. It is a complex whiskey, I think, and a flavor profile I've never had before. And I've had a lot of whiskey, and I think that's the whole point of Citizen of the World. It's get out and try something new, right? You never know what you're gonna like. There is an entire world of whiskey out there. I mean, if you were to look around this studio space, including my the space behind me, I've got all kinds of whiskeys from all over the place, and every one of them teaches me something new. Teaches me something about the geography. Teaches me something about the craftsmanship, the artisanship, the science that goes into making that whiskey in that particular climate, and the choices that are made to do it. I find it absolutely enlightening. I've had Indri whiskeys before. That's another brand. I haven't had one that has really stood out in my mind, but the other Indian whiskey that I like very much is Amrut's Fusion. I think that's a beautiful whiskey, and to be clear, it's actually a mix of distillate from Scotland mixed with Indian distillate, hence the term fusion. And if I'm not mistaken, there's a little bit of peat smoke in that Amrut Fusion. By the way, let me come back to our Paul John. I also get on the palate, I get this beautiful char note from the barrel, and it's got to be from the number 3 char that they put on those virgin oak barrels. You almost get a sense of, let's say, burnt embers. This is right before the finish. So just before the finish, you get this little sense of char. And to be clear, it has nothing to do with peat. It's not peat at all. It's this gorgeous barrel char, as I mentioned, with these deep fruit notes, with this explosive peppery finish that then has this salinity on the back end, with the vanillas and the caramels and the toffee, with a rich, oily mouthfeel. This is superb whiskey. It's well worth trying. So once again, I'm Joe Jimenez. This is Citizen of the World. Get out and try something new. And if you've enjoyed this review, please share this with your friends. Tell your friends about the cool stuff that we're doing here, the different types of whiskeys that we have, and help me continue my worship of the goddess Lakshmi with Citizen of the World. Joe Jimenez, all the best. Cheers.